This is a Swift 16 model of a War Department Light Railway E wagon. As the name suggests, the kits are designed to be put together relatively easily and quickly. The resin body comes complete with moulded strapping, and these look very crisp and clean. There is some flashing to remove, which shouldn't present any problems, but otherwise the body is ready to go. The bogies and wheels come well packaged, and the whole kit was delivered very quickly and was well packed. I hope you'll join me as we put this together and hopefully make a nice little coal wagon for the garden railway. As if by magic, here we see everything, all the resin parts cleaned up, flashing removed and ready for assembly. On completion, I gave them all a good wash in soapy water, although Rob doesn't use a mould release agent, just a powder, so there should be no problems at all about paint adhering. I did have to do the tiniest bit of filling just down the bottom there, and I used milliput, which I have to hand. I think Rob recommends Isopon car body filler as an alternative. The only thing I'd like to show you on the bottom of the model is basically the mould pour point. Years ago I would have spent a great deal of time trying to take that off and match up the piece of angle iron underneath, but as it's out of sight, for me now it can remain out of mind, and I won't be doing anything with that. Here you see the parts for the brake stands etc. are etched onto a piece of brush sheet ready for cutting out. These have the rivet positions half etched into them, so they will need embossing through or punching through, so that on the reverse side you get a nice impression of a rivet head. I hope you can see this. Rob recommends the Midland Railway Centre embossing tool, although I think these days it's probably marketed by a different company, but certainly still available. I don't really emboss enough rivets to be able to warrant one of those, so I made up my own little punch and anvil from stainless steel, which you see there. I have, for demonstration purposes, I've put it in the mill vise, although I normally use an old drill press down in the garage, but the lighting's not very good down there. A couple of little things that I've found useful. My eyesight is not particularly brilliant these days, so I tend to offer the indentations up to the punch and get it fully engaged in each one, and then lower it down onto the anvil. This ensures your punch marks are exactly in the right position. Secondly, ensure that the anvil is small enough so that when you're punching a rivet, you don't catch a rivet that you have already punched on the edge of the anvil. From experience, I know this will tend to put a bend in your brass etch, and of course it damages the rivet head. The third thing, and most important, is try and ensure exactly the same pressure for each rivet, so that this gives a nice even job. The resin wheels, axles and bearing tube come supplied as shown. The brass bearing tube comes rough sawn, so it will need a bit of a clean up or tidy up on the ends, and then it will need the internal diameter just cleaning out when you're finished. You can use one of these tools, or a drill will be perfectly adequate. Next step is to press the first wheel onto the axle. Here you see me using a couple of pieces of scrap aluminium angle in the vice jaws to keep everything square. The axle is pressed on until it hits the aluminium at the back there. Once the wheels are nice and square on the axles, I used a little bit of brass here from the scrap bin with a hole in the end to fit over the axle as shown, and then set the back to back with a little bit of axle stick out on either side. So that's the wheels finished. It'll be the first time I've used resin wheels on a model, and the first time I've used this simple bearing arrangement, so it'll be very interesting to see how this fares in the garden. The next little job is to assemble the bogie parts together with super glue. Here you will see the dummy axle boxes, springing and bogie bars assembled to the frames. It's important to note that the axle boxes should be lined up between the two sets of rivets I'm pointing to there. As you can see, I've very lightly emeryed the area where I'm going to super glue to, and it's also worth noting that you should make sure everything is really flat, so you get the maximum contact surface area you can, and this will give the best bond. The instructions recommend that one axle box should be glued to the frame in the correct position, and then a bogie bar glued to the second axle box. This makes life much easier when super gluing the axle block, second axle box, as you can line it up in the correct position to ensure the bogie bar is in the correct place. I found the brake shoes a little bit difficult to position, so here you can see a little piece of scrap wood I put blue tack to the frame, just to give me a position for super gluing them onto the frame. Now that the resin parts are glued to the bogie frames, we need to think about drilling the 3 holes required in each frame. The first hole being the body pivot screw hole. You will see there's a dimple, and this needs to be drilled 2.6 millimeter diameter by 11 millimeters deep as shown. The second hole is in the coupling pocket. As you can see, it's already got a dimple there. This should be 1.6 millimeter and drilled through, but not all the way through, so you're not going to break through the top there. The third hole is in the brake arm, again 1.6 millimeter, should be drilled through so that the brake rodding will come through the bottom there. While the bogies are in this position, it's worth noting that there is a form of compensation. You will see this one has a dome top, so it will allow a little bit of compensation either way. This one has a bar in the thwartship's direction, so this will, when it's adjusted correctly, will stop the body wobbling from side to side. The last job on the bogies is to fit the brake stands and the couplings. These parts are a mixture of etched parts which have been taken off the etch and cleaned up, and cast parts. These will need cutting from the sprues and then generally tidying up, holes drilled where necessary, etc, etc. So we'll get on and do that now. The brake stand parts have now been all soldered together and they are ready to fit. Soldering these together is a little bit tricky, and I've found it much easier to use a solder paste rather than solder, and one of these little microflame torches. And to hold the small parts in place whilst soldering, I use one of these little strong spring clips, which you can get from most DIY shops nowadays. Also complete is the buffer stocks, which have been cut off the sprue, drilled, and a little bent up coupling hook soldered in. Here we see one of the bogies has already been complete, with the coupling in place and the brake stand epoxied in place, which is I think a little bit stronger than the super glue. Once again, the little spring clips held everything in place while the araldite dried. Okay, once the second bogie is complete, we can put them under the body, and we'll be getting towards the painting stage. And there we have it. The model is essentially complete, with the bogies now in position. These are simply screwed into position in pockets in the body. You will see the screw head there. There is a small resin cover for each of them, so that when the model is complete, the screw heads can be covered up. The next job is to paint the model, I suppose. I will be dismantling it again and giving everything a grey primer to start, a grey acrylic primer. I tend to use acrylics now for rolling stock, although for locomotive painting I still use enamels. I've only secured the wheel sets in with blue tack at this time, because I like to paint those separately, so those will be coming out. The bogies will be removed for painting, etc. So we'll see how we get on with that.